that?
No, just the. I always, whenever I go back and like see when these things get published, when we actually go live, there we go. I'm always. It always starts way earlier.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's always like 3 minutes of me like, is it on? Is it on?
Yeah.
Is it on? Like even now, it's supposed to be on now.
You do a pretty good job of like having fun with it though.
Yeah, I mean I enjoy it.
No, I mean like talking about that lag.
Oh yeah.
As you get your various devices and channels spun up.
Yeah, I think we're good. Welcome everybody. Dude Lunch, featuring apparently just me today.
Just say just you?
Yeah, just me. Everybody else is going to be off camera.
What's up? I'm a person.
We got the host. We got good old Gregory. Can I tell you, by the way, every time I go to tag you in something in your group, and
we got Oliver in the mix today, Rover guest. Anytime you want to tag me.
Every time I try and tag you, I always like I've been very proud for a long time that I know how to remove someone's last name from a tag.
Yeah.
But every time I go to tag you, it's almost like it's not worth it because it's still Gregory.
Yeah.
So I'm always like I want to say Greg, and it's Greg, and I'm like,
yeah.
I might as well just leave myself in.
Yeah. So fun fact about that, I don't go by Gregory, which most people who know me know. But I did it because there was a period of time where like whenever somebody reached out to you through whatever platform, LinkedIn maybe, like they used your name, like so that was my like tell whether it was someone who actually knew me or whether it was spam, whether they used Greg or Gregory. And then when I set it up on Facebook, I thought it'd be funny to like make people call me my full name, you know. And then I never changed it. But it is nice because I find that there are fewer Gregorys. And so if you're trying to tag someone and there are multiple Gregs, which is not an overly common name anyway, it helps to be like, oh yeah, Gregory, that stands out.
Point, yeah. Good point. So before we started the live stream, Greg and I were talking about advertising by way of social media.
Life, love, mystery.
Just all the things, pretty much. My thing with advertising specifically, because Greg was asking like if I think that the platforms, and let me see if I get this right, the platforms will age along with the people that are using it, or if people will like phase themselves out. So Facebook will basically become defunct in the next 10 to 15 years because all the people that used it are on to some other like site, networking site, right? That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, we don't necessarily know because you and I are too old to be part of that, right. But like presumably that's what they're saying.
Right. The idea that they'll all phase themselves out because something new will come along, and all the new people will be on that, and none of the new people will be on the old platforms. And that's an interesting consideration. I haven't thought too much about the platforms themselves. All I know is that practically for the next 10 years, everybody who was around when Facebook started, minus the 5% of people who have, with great showmanship, bowed themselves out of Facebook and made a big deal out of it.
That's right. Only to return X number of months later.
Exactly. Yeah. And then say, I'm back.
Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Yeah. I think that the platform itself. I don't think Facebook is the point. I think there will be a platform that everybody's on, and it's basically a matter of, if we're talking from a marketer standpoint, it's a matter of understanding trends and attention and preempting the shift. So you just know, okay, this is where people are going. It's just paying attention, really, because it's not. The thing is, you don't have to. I don't think you have to predict it. I don't think you have to be on the bleeding edge.
In fact, sometimes you don't want to be.
Exactly, because like this actually kind of dovetails in with one of my points about one of the things I'm thinking about with advertising. But there's nothing wrong with like being late to the advertising game. There's still a window. There's a common thread with a lot of like people that have been digital marketing for the last 10, 15 years. They talk about how Google was so cheap for advertising purposes, and then now it's Facebook and Instagram that are cheap. And now we're starting to see a shift where Facebook and Instagram are starting to get more expensive, but YouTube is starting to get YouTube's huge right now. They're starting to really sort of get into it.
I've been hearing a lot about LinkedIn advertising as well.
And LinkedIn as well for any type of.
I pretty much put that one to
Right. Yeah. And it's mostly because we're it's very niche. There are people that are having super amazing success on LinkedIn. The point is there is a moment after which it becomes there's like a decreasing return on the money you spend in a particular platform.
Mm-hmm.
But that moment is like it's way into the future. Think about Facebook. When Facebook advertising started, whatever, 5, 7 years ago, it's been cheap for 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's the point I think is you don't have to preempt it and like no,
Yes.
I've already got all my ads in place on Reddit or which is by the way is one.
I'm sure.
Or I need to already have ads in place on YouTube or all this other stuff. Like Google was cheap for a long time.
Yeah, I think that as quickly as technology tends to move, like people still move more rapidly. And so when it feels, especially in the marketing space, well, I can't speak to other spaces, but it feels that way for me, is like in our space, we'll hear about something and then it's perceived to be like passe when it really hasn't caught on in the
Right.
bulk of industries
Right.
yet. And the same sort of thing is true for, I think, what you're describing, which is like, yeah, you may be 6 or 8 or 12 or 18 months late to something, but you're still years ahead of the majority adopters, right? And that's kind of the theme there.
And I think the key is, and how this dovetails in with what I'm. So my have this thing that I'm. It's going to become a blog post or a video or something at some point.
Oh yeah,
but I'm
probably all of those things.
Probably all of those things, knowing me, and I'll probably cut some of what I'm about to say into the video.
Hey, future Brett.
Yeah, hey, future me, exactly. I have a firm belief that 95, 96% of advertising today is terrible, just awful, like Sir Charles terrible, like. And I think a lot of that comes from
good reference.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's a group of people, a small, very, very small group of people who, when an advertising becomes available on a platform, they get it, and they get it because they have already been doing a lot of work organically on that platform with the people that are on that platform, and so there will be brands, and I'm trying to I'm doing some research to find some examples I can point to. But brands that on particular platforms, when advertising comes out, they're the brands that you see, and they do a good job, and they get it. But it's usually 10, maybe 15 different brands that are bigger brands that are sort of expanding and trying out these new platforms, and then you get this sort of second wave of people that are copying what those original brands were doing,
and then selling it.
Yeah, and then selling the way that they copied what somebody else was doing.
The recipe, the formula, the blueprint.
Exactly. And there's this thing that I can't get past. And again, what you said is so apropos in the sense that we know how other people in the digital marketing space think and talk. And when we talk to each other, it's different than when we talk to like actual consumers. And so we tend to sort of live under that assumption of what we're talking about. But I think when it comes to that type of advertising, there's a trend which is instead of me instead of like one of the things that really bothers me is a lot of that advertising says it starts out with I want to show you my Stripe account. I'm going to show you the millions and millions upon millions of dollars that I made doing this thing. But instead of just continuing to do that thing, which is making millions upon millions of dollars, I'm instead going to take time, which nobody has, to teach how it was that I did it. And I think the truth is, it actually is more lucrative for them to teach it because more people will pay a set amount for you to give them some sort of preconceived training that you don't actually have to spend time on ongoing. It's like a niche thing. But the problem is, the question that I asked Greg earlier is why is my Instagram feed not saturated with Budweiser ads or Nike ads? You know what I mean? Or like the Budweiser ad from 98, 99, I think 2000, I think it was 2000, 2001, the Super Bowl, the frogs, right? Easily for millennials, for us, easily probably one of the most, aside from maybe one of the Pepsi ads, one of the most famous ads, like Super Bowl ads of all time. Everybody knows about the Budweiser, even if you don't like football. I know about the Budweiser ads but I haven't seen one ad
Yeah.
for Budweiser in my feed, and maybe it's because they know that I live in San Diego and it's fruitless because I'm in
Craft
beer
yeah.
capital of the universe. But at the same time, I would if I'm Budweiser, the nostalgia effect. I'm going after people in San Diego that are my age, my demographic.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like so I feel like even at the highest levels of budget, all the way down to the lowest levels of budget, nobody really gets targeting. Nobody really gets the advertising correctly. And I sit and I think there are so many well-crafted, well-produced ads.
Yeah. So let me
that aren't on the right place.
Let me play counterpoint to that, right?
Yeah.
I agree, but it's not happening. But there is an example that I can think of one that sort of indicates that it could be, and it's the Golden State Warriors, and it is Blitzmetrics and Dennis Yu who does their social and their ad spend, as far as I know, or his team, as far as I know, does all of it and has. And maybe it's because I'm a basketball fan, but that's kind of the point. Is like if you're a beer guy, you should be seeing some of these major distributors. Hey, Gats, we're live over here, buddy. He's normally better than that. Actually, he's not. That's normally how it goes. Yeah. So Golden State is one example that sort of indicates how it could be.
Right. And I think he brings up a perfect point. I'm so glad you brought up Dennis Yu. Because Dennis, in my opinion, is the best and one of the only people in a position to do it differently and to do it well. To take budget and apply it, in a real way. My frustration comes from this. I don't see ads in my feed that I want to see. All I see, I'm getting targeted well by low quality ads. I'm not getting targeted at all with high quality ads. And I feel like we're kind of what we were talking about earlier. With there's a spectrum, of adoption.
And this is Brett, and we're currently talking to
live.
All of YouTube.
We're live.
Yeah.
We got other people that are showing up right now.
Oh, hello. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So come on in.
Thank you.
I mean, I would imagine we have all of 2 viewers, and it's probably my mom and
you can toss me that
his girlfriend. Yeah.
Yes. If there's anything I hate more than anything, it's being on camera.
Oh, well, that would be perfect. Is she out of the frame?
Yes. Yeah, you're out of the frame. You're good. You're good.
Get her away from enclosed spaces, because that's where it's at.
Got it.
Or I can, but
yeah.
She's wearing. Okay, look here.
Hi.
Look at all this
Hi, Violet.
space. Huh? Can we frolic in the open space? Oh yeah. Good.
Not a girl.
She's like, I can be on the open space.
Yeah.
Can show you. Hi guys.
And that's my dog Gatsby, and then Oliver, the rover guest. So yeah, Golden State I think is an example of someone who does it really well on a granular level as a big recognizable brand. So I think it can be done. It's which leads me to wonder if it's a choice. If brands like Budweiser and Nike are saying, yeah, we're not going to compete there. We're not going to play that space because it's not a matter of budget, right? It's a matter of appetite or vision. So they either don't have the space for it, or they don't have the team that has created the case for it.
Well, you made a good point. I mean, just bringing up Dennis. I was saying earlier, Dennis. Well, while you were bringing on him,
yes,
Dennis is a good example of if he gets involved with a brand that's got a budget, he's going to do it right because he gets it. He's someone who understands what can be done, and to your point, they're doing a good. We're seeing it very well.
Yeah.
Because we got somebody that's running it that's doing a good job. You know what I mean? But I think you just think about the money that you're spending. Yo. What up, y'all? You think about the money that
Will you make sure that gate is latched over there?
Has he escaped?
No, but there's another dog here, so I'm just paranoid.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello. Violet, Monica. Nice to meet you. Josh, Monica, Violet. I'm just trying to
Hey,
keep
Gats.
an eye
pin in it
Yeah.
and get some grub.
Sorry, I'm yeah.
Let
All
us
good.
know what we're missing and what platform the kids are on. Josh, do you know? The young generation, what are they using these days? Facebook's for old people.
Oh, no.
Reddit.
Musically.
Definitely not Reddit. Musically shut down, didn't it?
TikTok.
Yeah. I don't even think Musically's a...
Musically's no good.
Yeah.
TikTok is still going. I still get their ads.
I don't know.